Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Ingraham. This is the Ingraham Angle from Washington tonight. Okay, my voice is a little creaky. It'll make it for the hour. A holiday from pessimism. That's the focus of tonight's angle. There is nothing like Trump in New York. Trump at the opening of the New York Stock Exchange is just another sign that his victory was the greatest comeback of all time.
Just optically, Jim, sort of a show of force of American business.
No, I mean, yeah, this is, I have to tell you, I'm trying to remember when I've seen such an agglomeration of people.
Never. No. I don't think we've ever seen this.
No, and these are people, by the way, who, all walks of business. This is not tech and it's not financial. I mean, we have Brian Cornell from Target.
As it's often said, the business of America is business, but Trump's never been just about helping big companies. He and his team know that small business is the backbone of America.
What do you want to tell the nation about investing right now?
Well, look, I think what we're going to see from President Trump is Wall Street can win and Main Street can win. It's like we're getting Trump 1.0.
All right.
Everybody can do great.
And Americans are on board. 65% say they have confidence in Trump's ability to handle the economy. So what does that tell us? That regular Americans who actually had to live and work in Bidenville never believed the snake oil that the Democrats were peddling.
16 Nobel Prize-winning economists say he would reignite inflation, and Moody's says he would ignite a recession by the middle of next year.
Now, almost every economist who has looked at this idea says that won't lower prices, that makes prices higher.
Going forward, can we all make a pact to never refer to leading economists again? You know, they're always wrong, but never in doubt, like leading national security experts and leading medical experts. When they lean into politics, they're almost always proxies for the DNC. So we never, ever can forget how they abused their power and viciously lied in order to stop Trump. And their miscalculation, let's face it, was epic. He was a man on a mission, fighting through it all, not just for his own survival, but for America's. And now the focus is on the future.
I mean, it's exciting. This morning is exciting to have a president that's pro-business, pro-economy. I mean, it's not just the stock market. It's, I want to make Americans better off. There's a feeling, a very good feeling, pro-business, pro-excitement.
And it's easy to see why there is so much optimism out there. Yeah, Trump's economic agenda is pro-business. But more importantly, it's also pro-American worker.
We're going to give tremendous incentive like no other country has. We're cutting your taxes. We're going to cut them very substantially. We got them down to 21%. Now we're getting them down to 15%, but only if you make your product here.
But of course, not everyone's happy. The Greeniacs are predicting Armageddon because Trump's going to streamline things over at the EPA.
Anybody investing $1 billion or more gets a very expedited approval process because, you know, the approvals, when people come into the country, it takes them, in many cases, 14, 15, 16 years to get the approval.
I love Melania's pantsuit. Can I say that? And for all you hammered by high energy costs because of Biden, and that's pretty much all of us, Trump has a holiday gift for you that will last at least 4 years.
We have one product that nobody has really to the extent that we do. It's called oil and gas. There is no country in the world that has more. I brought it to #1 during my first term in terms of production. We're going to be #1 plus. And when that happens, prices are going to start coming down because people can't afford their groceries, and they're going to be affording their groceries very soon.
So some of you have told me that with Trump essentially already in charge, you almost feel like there's been a weight lifted off your shoulders, off your chest. And I feel that too. It's a great sense of relief you're feeling. The scene over the weekend at Notre Dame, President-elect Trump was almost greeted as a conquering hero. Literally, the globalists were just in awe of what he pulled off. Stunning, stunning to watch. And we're about to have a real president again with a cabinet that will focus on America first. So smart Democrats see that working with Trump is really the only sensible thing to do.
We try to find the things that we can possibly agree on for the best possible outcomes. And I represent Pennsylvania. And to point out, Donald Trump carried Pennsylvania. That's why I have decided to engage with people that are going to be incredibly important parts of the new administration.
Good for him. And even Gretchen Whitmer sending good vibes, noting that Trump won her state and she hopes to find common ground. But of course, most Democrats, they're not really feeling the jingle bell spirit right now because they're still reeling from Kamala's loss, and adding insult to injury to them, now Trump's, of course, Times Person of the Year.
It's really been something very special, and I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time. I think I like it better this time, actually, because the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that.
It was hilarious. But seriously, who else could have gotten Person of the Year this year? You can't give it to Taylor Swift again. Well, speaking of Taylor Swift, The Angle does have some advice for her. Call Trump and offer to perform at the inauguration. It'd be smart for Taylor Swift and another great moment of unity for the country. Come on, Taylor. Are you ready for it? Absolutely. Look, anything's possible. It's almost Christmas. We've seen a lot of miracles this year. Trump barely misses getting killed by an assassin's bullet. Then he goes on to win the White House. And we survived as well as a country, at least so far, living under a long-gone Biden. And now America has a chance with its best fighter back in the ring. And that's The Angle.
Fox News alert, the Justice Department just released the bombshell report that we've been waiting for. What actually happened on January 6th? The FBI had 26 confidential human sources there that day. 26. A confidential human source is a guy the FBI pays to spy for them. Of the 26 confidential human sources who were in D.C. on Jan 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol. So more than a dozen FBI spies participated in the so-called insurrection. A bunch of them broke into the Capitol. Their own inspector general says this is what happened. But that's not what they told you when they testified under oath.
Those who were there in an undercover capacity on January 6th, how many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
I thought I heard you say you didn't know whether there were FBI agents or informants or human sources in the Capitol or in the vicinity on January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah. And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
The inspector was hiding something, so Congress asked the question a different way. Listen.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Ray,
confidential human
gentleman's time.
Ray's right. The FBI didn't have undercover agents at January 6th. They had confidential human sources. So what's the difference? Well, a confidential human source doesn't get health insurance or a pension. They're just freelancing for the feds. Rats in MAGA hats. They're basically paid informants that the FBI runs out at headquarters. A lot of these FBI rats get picked up on some other charge. They get sat down and the FBI says, you're going to work for me now. And if you don't, you're looking at 20 years to life. So these guys say, yes, sir. And they cozy up to people like the Proud Boys and anyone the feds wants to watch and control from the inside. And these confidential human sources are under pressure to deliver. What does deliver mean? It means intelligence and big busts that get the FBI good headlines. According to the Inspector General report, the spies were feeding the FBI intel that said January 6th was going to get a little hairy. But FBI headquarters did nothing about it and then lied to Congress and said they did. So why did headquarters let January 6th get so out of hand? And what were all these FBI spies doing that day and the days before? Were they riling everyone up like they did in the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot? In that case, the FBI informants instigated the plot. They even used an FBI credit card to buy the ammo, supplies, and hotel rooms. Did the FBI pay for Jan 6 hotel rooms? We don't know. Remember, the media and the Democrats said this whole thing was a conspiracy.
Where do you think this idea comes from, that this was somehow done by the feds?
I heard that one of the debaters said it was an inside job. It's an inside job on the part of Donald Trump and his henchmen.
Republicans have blamed the FBI and said it was an inside job.
It certainly was not an inside job by FBI agents or Antifa. They go around blaming it on Antifa and FBI agents.
Well, how did the media know it wasn't an inside job when the FBI had 26 of their people on the inside? January 6th certainly benefited the media, the FBI and the Democrats. 1,500 arrests, humiliated Trump, got him impeached, criminalized the MAGA movement. Trump got indicted over January 6th, remember? They tried to throw him in prison over this. The January 6th committee, it's all Democrats did for 2 years. Why didn't the committee find any of these snitches? They did a one-sided investigation and teed up Garland to charge Trump so they could run against a convicted felon. So the media is going to apologize, right? No. The media today is cherry-picking the report to say there were no undercover agents there on January 6th. The whole thing's a conspiracy. These aren't articles. They're FBI press releases. And they wonder why their ratings are trash and no one trusts them. It's because of this. They don't want the truth. They want to hide it if it hurts the left. And they can't admit they were wrong because it's too embarrassing. And they were a part of the cover-up. But the FBI is worse than the media. The FBI knew what was in this report. They covered it up before the election. And then the director says he's resigning the day before it comes out. Give me a break. This kind of sliminess is why Trump nominated Kash Patel. I wonder what else Kash is going to find in the Bureau when he looks under the hood.
As a former federal prosecutor and a public defender who defended a lot of these types of cases, what you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th. Once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation.
And what does this report do to the January 6th defendants? None of the confidential informants were arrested or charged. These guys were right alongside everyone, walking into the Capitol. But you're in prison for years? Now, if you're a defense attorney for a Jan 6er and this drops after the case was decided, that could change everything. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley says this, quote, "There is a question of why the confidential human sources who entered the Capitol were not charged as part of an operation that the Justice Department described as an effort to shock and awe, targeting everyone involved that day. This report does not find specific wrongdoing or direction from confidential human sources in the rioting. Congress, however, is likely to seek more information on these sources and their conduct on the day." Are you allowed to commit crimes as a spy for the FBI and not get charged? Because they said this was the greatest attack on democracy ever. Said it was up there with 9/11. Traitors, they said, seditionists. They're off scot-free. You can try to overthrow the government if you're an FBI rat and just walk away? Congress has to find out. And what does this mean for pardons? I mean, the Hunter Biden pardon already greased the runway for Trump, but this report's all the ammo Trump needs. He told Time magazine, it's going to start in the first hour, maybe the first 9 minutes. Now, if I were president, I don't think I'd pardon J6ers who were slugging cops, but if you were wandering around peacefully, come on. And it's not just Kash Patel that's going to clean house. Tulsi's on deck.
I'm here with Tulsi Gabbard. She's here on the Hill meeting with my colleagues. She's going to be a great DNI, a Director of National Intelligence. It's a really important job. It oversees all of our intelligence agencies, and it's in need of reform. I think everybody would admit that, and so we need to bring in a reformer.
Now, the deep state's never been this backed into a corner, ever. We have Trump assassination files that we want to release, JFK assassination files, COVID files, Epstein, Diddy. What about that pipe bomb? Is the FBI still working on that one? Who planted that? It's just another conspiracy theory that you were right about. The lab leak, the laptop, and now Jan 6. No wonder Biden's under pressure to dish out more pardons. Who knows how high this thing goes?
And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, well, you just can't trust your own eyes, your own ears, and pictures and videos, or at least that's the message from the Biden administration after saying almost nothing about the hordes of bus-sized, sophisticated, very loud flying objects spotted at very low altitudes almost every single night in New Jersey, now New York and Pennsylvania, since November the 18th. The administration is now saying that it probably is not happening at all. According to John Kirby, you just can't believe your lying eyes. What you see there, it's not real. Take a look.
Using very sophisticated electronic detection technologies provided by federal authorities, we have not been able to, and neither have state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings.
Now, remember, the Biden administration, they would never lie to you. So give them credit, give them the benefit of the doubt, except they did lie about that Chinese spy balloon thing, you might recall, and not leaving Americans behind in Afghanistan. They did abandon many of them, and our allies also. And they did lie about inflation being transitory, but don't hold that against them. And they did deny and lie about Biden being sharp as a tack and his cognitive decline. But maybe the biggest lie of all was about the border, because for years, the Biden White House, Mayorkas, Kamala Harris, Joe, everybody across the board, they said the border was secure and the border was closed. Everyone on earth knew they were lying. Illegal immigrants from all over the world, over 180 countries, pouring into Mexico, walking into the U.S. unvetted. And now, as Biden is leaving, people continue. They are pouring into the country in record numbers right now, unvetted, of course. Mark my words here, and I'm very serious, and I pray to God I'm wrong. Biden and Harris's horrible legacy will be far worse when one of these unvetted illegal immigrants that they have allowed into this country, we have known terrorists in the country, carries out a terror attack on our country. And I know it's going to happen. It's not when. It's when. It's not if. And when, and that if that happens, and I pray I'm wrong, I pray to God I'm wrong, they will have more blood on their hands, a lot more. Now, this is a nightmare waiting to unfold. And the images, they have been horrific. Illegal immigrants under bridges, living in tents, sleeping on sidewalks, pouring across the border by the thousands every day. Instead of protecting our country and our borders from cartels, traffickers, murderers, terrorists, rapists, and other dangerous criminals, Border Patrol agents, they were all too busy just processing these unvetted illegals, releasing them into the country or flying them directly into the country by the millions. All told, more than 12 million unvetted Harris-Biden illegal immigrants entered the country in the last 4 years. Now, these are people that we know about. That is more than the entire population of New York City. These so-called gotaways slipped through undetected, including all these people that I've been mentioning to you, all under the current White House, all under Biden and Harris, and all happening right before our very eyes. You see the drug overdoses skyrocketing, more people killed by fentanyl in the last 4 years than ever before in human history. Almost all of it came right across that border. Other Americans murdered, raped, assaulted by people who never should have been allowed into our country. And meanwhile, big cities, small towns all across the country, all of them have suffered needlessly from a sudden influx of Harris-Biden illegal immigrants. They need food, they need shelter, they need health care, they need education. You're paying for it. 2,000 miles north of the border, even New York City was struggling to keep up and spending hundreds of millions of dollars housing illegal immigrants in hotels, 3-4-star hotels. But in New York City, at least, that insanity is going to come to an end. And when Donald Trump's president, all of it will come to an end. As he has said over and over, he will seal the border on day one. That means new walls, new security measures, fewer restrictions on Border Patrol. They'll be able to do their job. The end of catch and release, stay in Mexico policy, I'm sure will be back. A slew of executive orders that will prevent asylum abusers from entering the country. Mexico and Canada, they will now be held accountable. There will be a massive amount of deportations, even to countries that do not want their own citizens back. During an interview for Time magazine and the Person of the Year edition, Donald Trump said he would refuse to do business with countries who won't repatriate their own people. Tariffs, other penalties are also on the table. And according to Trump, quote, "I will do whatever it takes to get illegal immigrants out of our country." Trump even reportedly plans to lift restrictions on ICE arrests at churches, schools, and hospitals. And now, because of the magnitude of this crisis created by Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Alejandro Mayorkas, even some Democrats are ready and willing to work with Donald Trump on this effort. Shockingly, even Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, he said they're going to have to go through me, and New York City Mayor Eric Adams. The mayor recently closed 25 illegal immigrant shelters, and today Adams met with Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan. After the meeting, Adams expressed grave concern for the horrific crisis that was caused by Joe and Kamala. Here's what he said. Take a look.
We will not be a safe haven for those who commit violent acts. We don't do it for those who are citizens, and we're not going to do it for those who are undocumented. We have 500,000 children who had sponsors in this country that we can't find. We can't find them. We don't know if they're doing child labor. We don't know if they're doing sex crimes. We don't know if they're being exploited. 500,000 children. There's a level of hypocrisy that everyone that states they want to protect everyone but innocent individuals who are victims of crimes and children. I want to support and protect children and innocent people that are victims of crime.
The days of outright lying, gaslighting, they are over. Joe Biden failed our country. Americans, many are dead. Children are missing because of these terrible policies. And now in his final act, Joe Biden is trying to sabotage the incoming Trump administration and hurt our country, frankly, just out of spite. Now, reports today, Biden is now rushing to sell unused border wall material, meaning Donald Trump will have to buy it back at full cost when construction resumes. Now, his chief of staff is instructing the administration to spend as much money as possible before Donald Trump takes office. Why? To boost left-wing causes on his way out. Biden signed off on big new contracts with thousands of government workers, and they are speeding judges through confirmation at a record pace. They are trying to sell off areas of Anwar. Lisa Murkowski, are you paying attention? And by the way, in the case of all of these, you got to give props to Democrats, Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema. Democrats on the Hill have also controlled the National Labor Relations Board through a lame duck vote. And meanwhile, they prevented that from happening. Overseas, Biden is escalating the war in Ukraine. He's leaving Trump with one disaster after another. He's making it worse on the way out. Joe Biden should frankly just pardon himself, his entire family, and go home. It is time to leave our country in more capable hands. Your time is up. Our long national nightmare is over.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.